It was 12 minutes past 3 in the morning on New Year's Day, 2025. Bourbon Street was exactly what it always is on New Year's Eve, a river of people, noise, light, and celebration, stretching through the heart of New Orleans' French Quarter. Thousands of people stood shoulder to shoulder. Locals and tourists, college students and retirees, families and couples and groups of friends who had traveled from across the country and across the world to ring in the new year in one of the most famous party destinations on earth. The music was loud. The drinks were flowing. The Sugar Bowl, one of college football's biggest games, between Notre Dame and Georgia, was scheduled to kick off at Caesars Superdome later that day. The city was alive. Police were there. Patrol cars were positioned at the entrance to Bourbon Street on Canal. Steel barriers had been placed to prevent vehicles from entering. Drones were flying overhead. The NOPD had planned extensively for the night. One of the most security-conscious New Year's celebrations in the city's history. At 3:15 a.m., a white Ford F-150 Lightning pickup truck turned off Canal Street and drove toward those barriers. The barriers did not rise. They had malfunctioned. The driver steered onto the sidewalk, went around a police SUV parked as a backup barricade, and accelerated onto Bourbon Street. He drove for 3 full city blocks. By the time the truck crashed into a construction lift vehicle and came to a stop, 14 people were dead or dying. 57 more had been injured, some of them critically, some of them airlifted to trauma centers.
I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So I've taken those skills and applied them to my career as a real estate agent, where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator. So not only do I brilliantly market your property to make sure it gets sold as quickly as possible or gets leased as quickly as possible, but I'm also going to take every ounce of energy and putting it into negotiating for you and for your property to get the best deal that you can possibly get for it. So once we get to the closing table, all the I's are going to be dotted, all the T's are going to be crossed, everything's going to go off without a hitch, and that is...
The driver climbed out of the truck armed with an assault rifle and opened fire on the police officers who were running toward him. 2 officers were shot and wounded. Officers returned fire. The driver was killed on the street. On the trailer hitch of his truck, an ISIS flag was still flying. His name was Shamsud-Din Jabbar. He was 42 years old. He was a United States Army veteran. He was a father. He was an IT specialist. He was a man whose family described him as deep, thoughtful, funny, charismatic. And he was, at the moment he turned onto Bourbon Street, a self-radicalized ISIS operative who had spent the last several months of his life carefully, methodically, and secretly planning to kill as many Americans as possible. This is his story. And the story of the 14 people he took with him. Shamsud-Din Jabbar was born on October 26, 1982, in Beaumont, Texas.
Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. We do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack except for Shamsud-Din Jabbar.
That the attacker was the same person who planted the explosives in those ice coolers in 2 nearby locations in the French Quarter just a few hours before he rammed into the crowd with his vehicle.
A mid-sized city about 85 miles east of Houston, home to a large Creole community that had migrated from Louisiana generations earlier. His grandfather had made that journey. His family attended a Baptist church. His parents were a mixed-faith household. His father converted to Islam and changed the family surname from Young to Jabbar. His mother remained Christian. Shamsud-Din grew up in that in-between space, and by adulthood, he had become a practicing Muslim. By his early 20s, there were small warning signs: a misdemeanor theft charge at 20, a DUI while stationed at Fort Bragg at 32. Nothing that would flag him to anyone. Nothing that would have predicted what was coming. In 2007, at 24 years old, Jabbar enlisted in the United States Army. He served in human resources and information technology, administrative and technical roles, not combat positions. In 2009 and 2010, he deployed to Afghanistan. He returned home. He continued in the Army Reserve until 2020, when he left as a staff sergeant after 13 years of combined service. He was honorably discharged. After the military, he pursued education on the GI Bill and earned a bachelor's degree in computer information systems from Georgia State University in 2017. He posted a YouTube video that year pitching himself as a real estate agent, sitting next to a framed poster with the word "discipline" on it and a book titled Leadership.
Whether or not there's any connection between the New Orleans attack and the explosion in Las Vegas. As of now, they've just been briefed. They have not found any evidence of such a connection thus far.
The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsud-Din Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject became in possession of this vehicle. An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
He said the Army had taught him the meaning of great service. He seemed earnest, motivated, like someone building something. But underneath the surface, things were unraveling. Jabbar had been married twice, and both marriages had ended badly. His first marriage produced 2 daughters. His ex-wife successfully sued him for child support in 2012. His second marriage ended in divorce in 2020. And the proceedings were bitter enough that a Texas judge granted his second wife a restraining order against him. In court filings, she described the marriage as insupportable because of discord or a conflict of personalities. By 2022, Jabbar was drowning financially. In emails filed as part of his divorce case, he wrote that his mortgage was more than $27,000 past due and in danger of foreclosure. His real estate investment company, Blue Meadow Properties, had lost $28,000 the prior year. He had accumulated $16,000 in credit card debt. He was working as an IT contractor for Deloitte, earning close to $125,000 a year, but court-ordered child support payments, credit card debt, and a failing business were eating away at everything. And then, sometime in 2023, something shifted. His younger brother Abdurrahim Jabbar told CBS News that over the course of 2023, his brother seemed to grow increasingly devout. He started dressing differently, more modestly. He removed his tattoos. He gave up alcohol. He posted audio recordings online in early 2024 describing music as the voice of Satan. His brother said none of it seemed alarming. It seemed like a man finding deeper meaning in his faith. In 2023, Jabbar traveled alone to Egypt for about a month. He told his family he was going because it was cheap and beautiful. He brought back gifts, 3 rings, some tea, a wooden box. His half-brother showed the gifts to reporters after the attack.
He said, so he told you what exactly about New Orleans?
He's supposed to move out first. That's what I thought he has a truck for, to take in his stuff away.
So you were under the impression that he was gone forever.
Exactly.
He was starting to move out, the lease was up.
And what was the job in New Orleans he was saying?
His job related the one he was doing.
It was just the same, he was just moving for it,
He said he got
IT?
better offer over there and there.
Did he load furniture in the truck?
Yes, I think he did, because he doesn't have anything on the truck. He left everything here.
Okay.
As he said to me, like he has furnished home over there, but you don't need the furniture.
Okay.
But I asked him, you want some hands to have?
Yeah. So he didn't take any furniture when he said he was moving and the lease was up. Wow.
FBI investigators considered the Egypt trip a critical part of the radicalization timeline. Whether Jabbar had already been radicalized before he went, or whether something happened in Egypt that accelerated it, has never been definitively established. What is known is that Jabbar told the FBI, in the Facebook videos he recorded hours before the attack, that he had joined ISIS before the summer of 2024. He stated it plainly, on camera, in a video recorded at 1:29 in the morning on January 1, 2025. He had also, in that same first video, revealed something that stopped investigators cold when they reviewed it. He said he had originally planned to gather his family and friends for a celebration and kill them. He said he changed his plan because he worried that news headlines would not focus on what he actually wanted the world to think about, what he called the war between the believers and the disbelievers. He chose Bourbon Street instead. Because he wanted maximum visibility, maximum casualties, maximum impact. And he spent months preparing for it. The FBI later pieced together a detailed picture of Jabbar's preparation. He had visited New Orleans at least twice before the attack, in October 2024 and November 2024. On one of those visits, he wore camera glasses, small glasses with a built-in recording device. While cycling through the French Quarter, recording the layout of the streets, the position of barriers, the flow of pedestrian traffic. He was scouting. He was planning. He was a man with a military background in operational logistics, and he was applying every bit of it. On December 30, 2024, 2 days before the attack, Jabbar rented a white Ford F-150 Lightning through the car-sharing app Turo. He drove it from Houston to New Orleans, arriving on New Year's Eve. He had already rented an Airbnb in the St. Roch neighborhood, about 1.5 miles from the French Quarter. Inside that house, he assembled his weapons. He had built 2 pipe bombs, improvised explosive devices packed with RDX explosive material and shrapnel, nails, screws, and tacks.
New Year's Day terror attack in New Orleans, the city holding a vigil overnight for the victims as we learn more about the suspect behind the wheel. ABC's Christian Cordero joins us with the latest. Christian, good morning.
Whit, good morning. Among what investigators are looking at right now are videos the suspect posted on social media before the attack, shedding light on a potential timeline of his radicalization. This morning, chilling new details seem to paint a picture of the suspect's mindset in the hours before the New Orleans attack. Sources tell ABC News around 1 a.m. New Year's Day, Shamsud-Din Jabbar made multiple videos in that rented pickup truck, saying in one of them, "I wanted to record this message for the family. I wanted you to know that I joined ISIS earlier this year." He spoke in calm tones, sources add, and hinted that he had contemplated harming members of his own family, but wanted to do something bigger that would steer focus to what he called the war between the believers and disbelievers, telling his family, "I don't want you to think I spared you willingly." As investigators pour through the suspect's physical and digital footprints, the FBI also urging any survivors of the attack to come forward if they have not done so already, saying it has received almost 1,000 tips in the first 2 days of its investigation, as it expands resources for those affected by the tragedy. On the streets of the French Quarter, a new construction zone on Bourbon Street, the city installing those new security bollards that were being replaced before the attack, now moving with urgency ahead of the Super Bowl next month. Overnight, a vigil for the 14 lives lost.
She was a caring person. She worked in nursing homes.
Courtney Polk remembers her older cousin, Latasha Polk.
She was always a happy person. The mother, she leaves behind a son.
They were rudimentary in construction. The FBI noted he had made a technical error that rendered them less effective than intended, but they were designed to be detonated remotely using a wireless transmitter. He placed the bombs in plastic coolers and, in the hours before the attack, walked them to 2 locations on Bourbon Street, placing them in the crowd. He had also built a homemade silencer for his rifle. Shortly after midnight on January 1st, Jabbar set fire to the Airbnb using accelerants he had strategically placed throughout the house to destroy evidence of his bomb-making. The fire burned briefly and then extinguished itself before spreading. Meaning investigators were later able to recover both the bomb-making materials and the silencer device from the property. Between 1:29 and 3:02 in the morning, Jabbar recorded 5 videos on his Facebook account and posted them publicly. In them, he pledged allegiance to ISIS. He explained his motivation. He said he was a soldier of the Islamic State. He was calm. He was not screaming or crying. He spoke in complete sentences. By the time most people would see those videos, he was already dead. At 3:15 a.m., he drove the truck onto Bourbon Street. The wireless detonator for the pipe bombs was found inside the truck. Neither bomb detonated. Investigators later concluded that Jabbar's technical error, using an electric match without a proper detonator for his RDX, was the only reason those bombs did not go off in the middle of the crowd. If they had, the death toll would have been catastrophically higher. Now let's talk about the 14 people who did not make it home. Tiger Beck was 27 years old. He was a Princeton University graduate, an all-Ivy League football player, a native of Lafayette, Louisiana, who had moved to New York City to work as a junior bonds trader. His mother told CBS News he was on top of the world. His younger brother Jack Beck was an NFL player.
Whether you know Jabbar personally, worked with him, served in the military, or saw him in New Orleans or Texas, we need to talk to you. He originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers.
I mean, from day one, you can tell that his knowledge in the IT field was better than everyone else's. I still thought that he was still a somewhat good guy. He was genuine, he was nice. I would not categorize him as being a Muslim extremist at that time when I knew him. Not at all. I think sometime between when I knew him and now, he got radicalized. At
Super Bowl 59, held in New Orleans 6 weeks after the attack, the Beck family was invited to flip the ceremonial coin before kickoff. Nikira Cheyenne Dito was 18 years old. She was supposed to start a nursing program at Blue Cliff College on January 6, 5 days after she died. Her mother had begged her not to go to Bourbon Street that night. Her friend Zion Parsons was standing next to her when the truck came. "It barely missed me," he told CNN, "and happened to get her." Nicole Perez was 27 years old and a single mother from Metairie. She had recently been promoted to manager at the store where she worked. She had brought her 4-year-old son Melvin, to work with her, and she was teaching him to read. After her death, her employer described her as a really exciting little young lady who was getting herself together. Melvin turned 6 in December 2025. His grandmother Martha is now raising him. Reggie Hunter was 37 years old. He was a father of 2. An 11-year-old and a 1-year-old, from Baton Rouge. He had just finished a late work shift and made a last-minute decision to go to the city with his cousin to celebrate New Year's Eve. Just something so simple, his cousin Cheryl Jackson told reporters afterward. "Hey cuz, wanna ride me to the city?" Cheryl survived with extensive injuries. Reggie did not. Reggie's 12-year-old son Landon ran a track meet in May 2025 and said his heart started racing mid-race.
From knowing him personally as an adolescent to 18, I mean, I'm just shocked. And the fact that something that's making national news, you know, it happened with somebody that was actually from Beaumont. It's kind of hard to believe.
Not from nerves, but from a memory that replayed like a scene from a movie. Kareem Badawi was 18 years old. He was a first-year student at the University of Alabama, out with friends for the new year. His father Belal had texted him a Happy New Year message that night. It was the last exchange they had. 1 year later, Belal told reporters that grief never really eases. "All year long, there's always something," he said. His birthday, Mother's Day. You're in the house and you're looking at a corner and you see him there. Edward Pettifer was 31 years old, a British citizen from Chelsea, London, visiting New Orleans with friends. His stepmother was Alexandra Pettifer, formerly known as Tiggy Legberg, the woman who had served as nanny to Princes William and Harry in the 1990s. King Charles III, Prince William, and Princess Catherine all issued public statements of condolence following his death. Matthew Tenedorio was 25 years old. He was from Slidell, just east of New Orleans, and worked as an audiovisual technician at Caesars Superdome, the very venue that was hosting the Sugar Bowl later that day. His parents had begged him not to go out that night. He had dinner with his family and then went anyway, because he was 25 and it was New Year's Eve. His mother's last words to him were, "I love you. Text me when you get home."
The face of a killer. The terrorist responsible for the Bourbon Street massacre gazes into a mirror. 42-year-old Shamsud-Din Jabbar shot this video as he conducted a chilling run-through in the French Quarter, bicycling along streets where he was plotting his murder spree. He spent 2 days in New Orleans, arriving on October 30th and staying in an Airbnb. He made a second visit on November 10th. He looked like any other tourist as he pedaled along Canal Street and Bourbon Street, searching for the weak spots in security measures. The FBI released this video he shot from a bicycle using smart meta glasses like these. They are equipped with tiny cameras. He wore those same glasses the day of the massacre. So we picked up a pair of the meta glasses. These actually cost us $400. These are made by Ray-Ban, and as you can see, they look a lot like regular glasses. They sync to your phone pretty easily. All you have to do to record video is just hold down this button here. Now I'm rolling, recording video. It can also take photos and stream live video, and then all that media syncs directly to your cell phone where you can upload it to social media or just keep for yourself. In just released surveillance video, no one takes any notice as he calmly leaves a cooler containing a bomb on Bourbon Street next to an overflowing trash can. He then appears to wave. Another image shows him carrying a cooler with a second bomb which he planted a short distance away. Fortunately, neither detonated. City authorities continue taking heat over the security failures. Steel barriers that might have prevented the massacre were not deployed. The city is already on high alert, preparing for the Super Bowl next month as investigators build an hour-by-hour timeline of Jabbar's final weeks.
When a friend who was there described what happened next, his parents said Matthew had turned toward the chaos, not away from it. He had run toward the truck, trying to see if he could help. A coroner told the family he died of a gunshot wound. The others were Drew Dauphin, 26, an Auburn University graduate from Montgomery, Alabama; William Billy DeMaio, 25, a media company executive from New York; Terrence Kennedy, 63, a New Orleans native who loved people watching in the French Quarter and wore giant 2025 glasses to the celebration; Elliot Wilkinson, 40, of Lafayette; Brandon Taylor, 43, who had stepped outside a club with his fiancée moments before the truck reached him; Hubert Gothrow, whose family lost their grandparents to a drunk driver later the same year; and Latasha Polk, 47, a New Orleans native and mother of a 14-year-old son named Christopher, who was celebrating with her brother Prentice, who went missing in the chaos and whose whereabouts, as of early 2026, have still not been confirmed. The security failure was immediate and significant. The hydraulic bollards, retractable steel posts designed specifically to prevent vehicle attacks, had been malfunctioning intermittently and were not operational the night of the attack. The city was in the process of replacing them ahead of Super Bowl 59, which was scheduled for New Orleans in February 2025. The bollards were not raised. The backup police SUV barricade, while in position, was bypassed when Jabbar steered onto the sidewalk around it. The NOPD superintendent said officers knew the bollards sometimes failed. No adequate contingency had been in place. In the days after the attack, the city moved fast. New permanent bollards were installed on Bourbon Street within 72 hours. Super Bowl 59 proceeded in New Orleans 6 weeks later, on February 9, 2025, with massively enhanced security, concrete barriers, and a law enforcement presence described by officials as among the largest ever deployed for a domestic sporting event. It proceeded without incident. Members of the Beck and Tenedorio families were present for the coin flip. The FBI concluded that Jabbar had acted entirely alone. He was not on any federal watch list. He had no known contact with any official ISIS operatives. He had self-radicalized, the same pattern seen in the majority of ISIS-inspired attacks in the Western world over the past decade, a person in private crisis, consuming online propaganda, finding in an extremist ideology a framework for rage that had nowhere else to go. On January 9, 2025, ISIS officially praised the attack in its weekly newsletter, calling on followers to replicate it. His brother Abdurrahim told CBS News, he was a human being. He was deep, thoughtful, funny, charismatic. He said he saw no signs. He said he had no idea. He said maybe isolation had weighed on him. Maybe mental health issues he never shared with anyone. I can't imagine, he said, What would 26, exactly 1 year after the attack, survivors and families gathered on Bourbon Street for a memorial service. A second-line parade moved through the French Quarter, the way New Orleans mourns its dead, with music, with movement, with the stubborn insistence that joy is not something a terrorist gets to permanently take away. Brittany Francois, whose left side was shattered when the truck ran her over, stood at the service on a day when she sometimes still needed a walker. She described her 3-year-old son Maddox, who had clung to her side ever since she came home from the hospital. She described the therapy, trauma therapy, EMDR, every week. She described what it was like to build a new version of normal out of the rubble of a single night. And she told reporters the phrase she now lives by. The phrase she had written down and carried with her through every surgery, every physical therapy session, every bad night, every morning that felt impossible. I'm not one of the 14. She said it simply. Without self-pity. Without performance. Just a woman standing on the street where a man...
And as we know, this is not just an act of terrorism. This is evil. And when we face evil, we have a choice. We can run in fear, or we can indeed stand in strength. In a time of crisis, people are looking for leadership. You are looking at the leadership. And I promise you, as the chief of police of this city has been tried by fire before. But fire purifies. Fire makes things stronger. We have a plan. We know what to do.